I'm Obese The Prophet. I'm your host here at the Prophecy Podcast. I want to welcome everybody in. We got a special guest with us tonight, someone I've known for a long time. I'm happy to have him in here with us today. So, without further ado, let me just get into our sponsors tonight. The Prophecy Podcast is proudly sponsored by MPC Stuff. They have hundreds of replacement and upgrade products for any MPC or other Akai machines, fast shipping, very high quality products. I personally stand behind their products and respect our partnership tremendously. They're totally awesome. Also, we're sponsored by I Regret Nothing Apparel, some of the best quality materials, social messages, and designs. We're proud to have them as a sponsor. We stand behind them 100%. We absolutely love that they're a Black-owned Maine small business. It doesn't get any better than that. And of course, our smoke break segment, as always, is brought to you by Fire on 4, which is located at 367 4th Street in the heart of Portland, Maine's Old Port District. They have ultra-fine cannabis products and a super friendly and knowledgeable staff to provide you with all your medical cannabis needs. Just remember that they're medical only, so you need your card to get in there. Also, be sure to check out Elevate Music. That's my record label and music promo company. If you need any distribution, any kind of social media promo, graphic design, production, websites, we literally do it all. Check out elevatemusicllc.com for more information, of course. The Prophecy Podcast is brought to you each and every week by Bars Over Bars Media. We cannot thank them enough for their support as we continue to expand the content and build the brand. So without further ado, let me bring in my co-host, this Justin Martin. What's up, man?
How you doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing pretty good, you know. Yeah, I see you got the I Regret Nothing t-shirt on today.
Gotta represent.
So, yeah, tonight we got someone I've known for a long time, and I think you've probably known him for a few years too. Ryan Page is with us tonight. He goes by the name of Riz. He is an artist there from our home state of Maine, and one of the best to ever do it. Welcome in, Riz. What's up, man?
Hey, what's good, y'all? How y'all doing tonight?
What up?
What up?
Yeah, we're doing well. So yeah, were you able to get some shares in during the intro time period?
No, I'm gonna do that right now.
Word, because now's a good time if you want to share. Let people know that you're in here. Let them join up, and we give them a couple minutes to join in before we just jump into the questions. Just want to see, make sure everybody's got the chance to jump in here.
Going in right now.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys got the All-Star Sunday night on, but Steph Curry just won the 3-point shootout.
Okay,
He beat two of our Celtics.
I figured that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Word. So I shared this around a little bit here. So, word. We got a few people in here with us. So welcome in, everybody.
Hey.
How we usually start the show off is I start with like a basic introduction, hometown, little self story about how you got your name and how long you've been making music and writing and stuff like that. So if you want to just kind of dive into a little biography about yourself and let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you represent and everything, roll with it.
All right. So my name is Ryan Page. I go by other monikers, Riz. I'm on Facebook as Pie and Rage. So Riz, where I got the name from. So back in my previous life, I lived a sort of unsavory lifestyle, and government names weren't always acceptable to be tossing around. So one day I was out doing a couple things, and I don't remember who said it to me, but they were like, "Yo, Riz," and it just stuck, right? And then it was at a time where like RZA and Wu-Tang was really big, right? So I kind of was like, yeah, that sounds cool. That's like RZA's dope as fuck. So so that's where I grabbed really just gravitated to keeping that name over time. And it became who I was, right? I'm from Portland originally, so I was born in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up there for some time on Munjoy Hill, and then I moved to Biddeford at a young age, probably like 11, 12 years old, and so that's where I rap now, right? I'm from Tri-City, Tri-Town Committee, represent lifetime. So that's Biddeford, Saco, and Old Orchard for people that don't know the committee.
Yeah.
And so yeah. What else was there for questions?
So
How long?
how long
How long you been doing music?
I've been doing. So I started doing music around 13, I think. And so back then it was like. So this is like pre-Eminem era, right?
Yeah.
This is like pre. If you're white and rap, it's just not a fucking cool thing to do.
Mhm.
And so I started young, and it really started with poetry. I started writing poems. I've always been I always was really good at expressing how I felt through words.
Mhm.
I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was friends with a kid that was from Old Orchard. This is before the whole committee thing clicked together. His name was Sam Smead. He was already doing like little mixtapes and shit. So she had sold him some of my poems, and he told me like, "Yo, if you like just cut this up a certain way, right, and you put it to a beat, like this is a rap song." I'm like, "No," and he's like, "Yeah, you know." And then he was the first one who was like, "Have you ever really freestyled?" And I'm
Mhm.
like, "No, not really." And then it just like happened, right? Like he started saying some things, and I started to do the same, and
Yeah.
then it became a thing, right? So it went from, I wrote like a song, and I was like horrible in the studio. Like Sam was always like really good. He can go in like one take it and call it, and I would go in and just I have no attention span, right? ADHD. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to like do all kinds of other not music stuff, and not only that, I can't remember my verses ever.
Mhm.
So I just keep going over, and I'm on like 120 takes, and Sam's fucking stressed out. But freestyling just came really, really natural, right? So I just started freestyling all the time, and so I would go to clubs. Galaxy was open then, and I would do
Yeah.
freestyle battles at the Galaxy with kids from out of state,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
I always won, right? But I feel like I had a really unfair advantage because these kids were coming from out of state, and I had like home field advantage. So I think I might have lost a couple times, but just the crowd wouldn't let me lose. So that was fucking cool, and yeah, man, I started to develop an identity in who I was for rapping, and so yeah, so I moved from the freestyling to writing more songs. Me and Sam, really hit it off, and then we met with Y Sean, and Y Sean became like the third member of this committee. I was from Biddeford, Y Sean was from Saco, and Sam was from Old Orchard. So that led into the Tri-Town Committee, which was like half music, half criminal enterprise.
Right.
And so yeah, man. So we kind of like everybody knew that person. And then Beast came in after that, like, and became like the go-to guy for all our beats.
Yep.
So Beast joined the family early on, and we were all just just jacking beats and taking off instrumentals. Like any instrumental that came out. Like I remember the Ja Rule Holla Holla beat came out, and I'm like, yeah, that shit's fucking fire. You never
Mhm.
thought like we'd have to make beats or shit like that, man. But Sam was making beats early on with this
Mhm.
little bullshit like 4-track recorder, but this shit was like super dope. So it gave us something to do. It gave me an identity, and just something I love to do, man. And some people said I was good at it. So
Yeah.
and I'm not sure necessarily how good I was, right? I know that I just happened to have enough charismatic energy to do it,
Mhm.
whether I failed at it or not. Nobody else was really doing it, right? So if like
Yeah.
you're on a basketball court and nobody's fucking shooting the ball, and I hit one shot out of 400, I'm still the best basketball player on the fucking court.
Yeah.
So I think that's how it kind of panned out, man. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't so much that I was so great at doing it. It's just that I just kept doing it when nobody else would. And
Right. And at the
and
drop of
behind
a dime,
that,
you could just drop a freestyle at the drop of a dime. I remember we could just go somewhere and they'd be like, who are you? I'd be like, oh, I'm fucking Obese and I make the beats. But really, it's like if I was with you, I'd be like, but he raps. You want to hear him rap? And I'd just be like, yo, fucking bust a freestyle. And every time it was a true freestyle, like because every time you would rap, it would be something completely new, which is why we always try to get you to do it all the time, because it would never be like some people say freestyling. It's something that maybe they have memorized, or maybe it's different parts they put together that they have memorized. But with you, it literally was off the top of the fucking head every single time, and that was what amazed me from the beginning, was how you were able to do that. Even you could even create songs doing that, which, you know,
I freestyled a lot of songs.
Yeah, it wasn't as conventional as far as recording goes. Like you'd get as so far into it, you'd be like, no, I'll bring it back, and you do a little bit more, and you build it that way. But I feel like in a way, like a lot of things came out really good like that, because it kept you on your toes and kept you on the fly and kept you thinking how you could constantly improve it. You didn't take it as far as Why Sean used to take it. Like Why Sean, like he'd work on a verse for 3 years before he even could get it to sound like the way he wanted it, which, you know, I felt like that was a bit much at times. That was the stressful part, trying to record Why Sean, be like, damn, everything has to be super, like absolute perfect. You know what I mean? So the contrast between how everybody recorded too was a crazy fucking thing too.
Right. Yeah. So I know that like the whole freestyle thing while doing music, like I just operate so much better when I can just come out with how I feel. And sometimes I write and I can't keep up to my thoughts, so it just keeps, and I can't read it after anyways. She'll be like, "Yo, sit down and write," and I'm like, and I'm writing like so fast as they're coming out. And like, all right, go sit, spit it. Now look at it like, what the fuck does that say? Like I don't have any idea what that says. I know it's probably really dope, but I have no idea what it says. So I was always more comfortable just freestyling things. And here's the worst part, right? Is I would freestyle shit that would be really dope, and I'm not in the studio.
Right.
And people like, "Oh my god, that was so fire! What'd you just say?" I'm like, I have no fucking clue. You tell me what I said. Was it dope? It was dope. Awesome. I have no clue what I said. That's a testament to my mental disability becoming a strength, right? Like I can't really focus, but I can like somehow come up with these random things off the top of my head. And that's like that went hand in hand with everything in life. I feel like with a criminal lifestyle and picking up girls, right? Like I just fly off the hip with it, and it just comes out better. Like imagine you had to try to go write fucking like go try to write your pickup lines to get girls. Like just don't do it. Like, just you see the girl and everything's different, right? You're in a different mood, and she's a different girl, and she's got different color eyes, and there's just different things to say all the time. And so that's freestyling for me. That's life. Like life, freestyle is life. I'm different every day. I have a different idea and what I want to say. And so, and then music continued on for me for a while, and it became an identity for me. And because of that, I was able to really connect with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I see Beth over here. Beth's on. Yep. Me and Beth, I used to rap and Beth would sing, right? And we just had music became a connecting force, and it still is today, right? Music is a language, man, and it's something that can cross cultural barriers, and that can generate these feelings, and that's when I think I knew I wanted to do music, right? I was listening to like Tupac back then, and just shit that just spoke about what was going on in society, and like in such an eloquent way, and it just created this feeling. Like I don't know Tupac. I never met Tupac. When Tupac died, I bawled my fucking eyes out. Like I felt lost in my heart that I was never gonna hear no more music from this man, and I don't know who the fuck he is. He might have been an asshole. I don't know, but musically on that level, it spoke to me. So and then through doing music, I met more and more people and that wanted to do music, and then some people have come up after me and will say that I was like I was some sort of influence in them doing it, which is great. I just think that by living my truth, man, I give people permission to do the same, and that's kind of how I still carry life now, man. Like Eric Mayo changed his name to Live Your Truth, right? And through living your truth, you give people, subconsciously, you give people the permission to do the same. Do your fucking thing, man. Do what makes you happy. Be you.
Be you, yeah. Do you, be you, and all that. It's a very good message, something that obviously everybody should be able to be themselves. But yeah, so moving on to normally we talk about recent strange news or weird shit that's happened in the past week or so. So at this point, I'm going to just turn this over to co-host cousin Justin. What you got for us?
All right, so I can't share my screen to put up this picture, but there was a picture taken this past week, and if you saw it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It was taken over in Falmouth, Cornwall, United Kingdom, and it's of the ocean. But the special thing about this picture is there's a tanker ship or some sort of large, seafaring vessel, but it's floating above the water.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, if you could put that up, it's fucking nuts looking.
Yeah. I think I got it. Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, it was like a floating ship. There, yeah, right there. Now, this is actually a optical illusion. So it's not something weird and crazy, but seeing it's a mind fuck. Like you go and look at this thing and you're like, hey, there's a ship out there, but it's fucking 50 feet off the surface of the water. So apparently this is known as a superior mirage. It's a great example of a superior mirage. Okay. And basically there's special atmospheric conditions that bend light and makes it look like things aren't what they seem. So basically when it's very cold, since cold air is denser than warm air, it bends light towards the eye of someone standing on the ground or on the coast. And it changes how a distant object appears. So it looks to you like it's floating above the water, or floating, in the air above the water versus floating on top of the water. So that was pretty cool.
Hell yeah. That is crazy to think that, being that it's, how many other instances of this are there on the internet? Is there a lot of other pictures? I wonder.
Yeah, no, I haven't looked into it that much, but I'm sure that you look up Superior Mirage and you'll get a ton of crazy shit, I'm sure. It also makes you think, like, how much of the supernatural or paranormal could be things like this that's explained with logic and science and all that shit. But when you see it, you're like, holy shit, how the hell does that work? Like, how did that ship get up there?
Yeah, a lot of weird shit that happens, especially when you're looking out over large bodies of water too.
Mm-hmm.
Shit like that. But yeah, I got a weird story too. Not really exactly sure where. I think they may mention it in the story. I think it might be Thailand, southern Thailand. This woman was walking down the beach and she found this weird fucking like hard substance that was it smelled kind of like fish in a way or whatever, but it had stuff like in it or whatever. And so she's like, I don't know what this is, but it's strange to me, so I'm going to take it and see what it is. It ends up being this stuff that's it was about a foot wide and 2 feet long. It resembled a rock with an off-white color. That's how they described it. It just looked like something maybe washed up from the sea. But when she got home, she asked some neighbors to look at it. They were like, I don't really know. Maybe it could be this. Well, it turns out it's called ambergris or ambergris or whatever, which ambergris is, I guess, what it kind of translates to. And it's thought to be whale vomit. So she took this chunk of whale vomit home, and it's actually a precious commodity. It's a widely used as an ingredient in the most expensive perfumes and colognes, and it can sell for a pretty penny. So it ends up this chunk that she found netted her $250,000.
No shit.
And not the first time that this has been done either. Back in the 1980s. A man found a few chunks and it totaled 220 pounds and it got him $3.5 million. This was just a fisherman who was trying to find his traps that had broken free and washed up on the shore. He was walking to get his traps and found this shit. And ended up making $3.5 million off it. So if you ever see this weird looking shit, it kind of looks like cement in a way. It looks like it has things in it, but it's grayish and weird looking and it looks like a rock. Look it up, ambergris or whatever is what it's called. So if you ever find some weird shit on the beach and it kind of smells like fish and it's weird, you're not sure, just grab it, because that's the difference between buying that island you found it on or not.
I feel like I wouldn't get that lucky though. I would just end up
Right?
with some weird shit that smells like fish.
Yeah,
Right?
just a fish
Just a
chunk.
fucking rock.
Yeah. Bringing like, yo, I got this. I'm like a millionaire now. Check it out. I'm like, bro, that's just like fish shit. Like,
Yeah, it's fish. That's fish shit, not vomit, bro. And it comes specifically from the sperm whale, I guess, is what it says on the thing. It comes from
Go
that particular. But yeah. So moving on though, let's talk about like some of your early influences as far as hip hop is concerned, like who you first listened to and stuff like that, and then dive into your first project as well, because we want to talk about these two things.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it 100. All right, listen. My first ever hip hop album that I was able to have and keep, due to my mother not liking hip hop at the time, right, was Salt and Pepper, Very Necessary.
Okay,
all right, that's the throwback. That was the only one I was allowed to have, and Salt and Pepper was dope as fuck.
Yeah, they
So,
were.
and how that happened, right, was the first one I ever stole because I didn't buy albums back then. Just didn't happen. So I had shoplifted like the Snoop Dogg album and the Dr. Dre Chronic album. I remember my mom came home one day, man, and I was like pumping it on her fucking Kenwood speakers. She was like out doing whatever. She came home and she walked in right at the time where Dr. Dre said, "You's a penguin looking motherfucker." And she was just like lost her mind. Like, and then it like led into this song like bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Mom just lost her fucking mind. She's like, you can't listen to this shit. And it wasn't until Tupac did Dear Mama, right? Where I could show that to her. That there's how music connects us again, right? Like Tupac fucked the world. She's like, no, don't listen to that. But after Dear Mama, she was like, hey, yeah, Tupac, you can listen to that song.
You can listen to that.
So I just only played that song when she was around. But it wasn't like nowadays we could skip through the songs, right? So if I was in the middle of a song when she showed up, I was fucking hit. I couldn't just like skip the song. So yeah, man, Doggy Style. I see Eric just posted Doggy Style. Doggy Style was like a fucking huge album. Like back then, like you could listen to like albums. You looked forward to them. Like they came out and you just press play on the tape and that shit just played. It wasn't like now where you like get up one hot song. Like even the skits were fucking dope. Like I listened for skits.
Yeah, you bought it for the whole experience.
For the whole experience. It was like a movie. Like you just played the whole thing through, man. And like skits and all that shit that just like went together. And you know, and then Jay-Z did an album called In My Lifetime. And then he did like a movie, and like the movie was like the album. He like did just a string of videos that was the album.
Yeah.
And it was just fucking phenomenal. So all that creativity and shit just it just led me to like fall more in love with hip hop music, man, and just the things that could be created with it. So those are my first early influences.
So first project, like what's the first like song that you ever recorded and where and how did you get that done?
First song I ever recorded was Nothing But a Gangster. Right, and that was with Sam Smead. That was with me, Sam Smead, Eric Mayo.
Yeah.
And that was at Sam Smead's house in Old Orchard, in his second floor bedroom, and like it's bullshit pop filter over the microphone and some weird ass fucking recording equipment, and it took me forever to record. That was like the first time that I was like, I don't know, it was just really. Because I have like this intensity when I rap that I want to try to capture while I write, but I can do it when I rap. If I just come off the top of the head, I can la 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 la, and I have this like intensity. But it was hard for me then, and even still now, to capture that same intensity when I write it. So I remember going over and over and over again with that, and that led into a couple other songs. We did this like collaboration album, and we did a song called When I Was Young. Ironically, we were fucking like 16 years old when we did this song. Yeah. So like looking back at our non-existent childhood that we're still currently living. Now looking back at it, it's almost prophetic, right? Like I look back at it and think I did songs that shows the level of where our mentality was at that time. We were trying to be so grown up that we'd already closed the book on our childhood at 16 years old. Like when I was young, when I was a kid, like I had my daughter that year.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm already looking forward to like, I'm fucking grown up here. Like I've got to start doing stuff. And then criminal lifestyle always, played a huge role in that, and substance use disorder and, and everything else. But, yeah, man, like that was the first project. And it came at a time where like, rap wasn't like a real prevalent thing. Like it wasn't Eminem, like I said, still wasn't out yet. So it wasn't like a thing. It wasn't like a fad and a trending thing to be rapping. So
especially like a group mostly white guys. I mean,
mostly white guys, right?
You had
mostly white guys.
You know, when you look at that back then, it was like Eminem was coming out. He was like underground at that time when you guys were doing that, but not mainstream yet. I remember he dropped the Slim Shady was what 99. He dropped that in.
Yeah,
but he had the 98 that came out a little bit previewed that, but not many people heard it. Then when he went mainstream, it was like 99. At that time, you guys had been recording already, right? Probably 99. Yeah. And so
like 98, 97, 98.
Yeah, and we didn't really know who Eminem was in 97, 98.
Right. Not for nothing. All jokes aside, when I first heard Eminem, because I was like a rap, like I'm like a, I was like a street kid, right? So I related to like Mobb Deep, and like this is the lifestyle not only that I was involved in per se, but that I aspired to be involved deeper in, was that gangster drug dealing lifestyle. So when I first heard Eminem, he came out and I heard a song, it was like the Mushroom song. And I was fucking heated. I'm like, this kid's gonna ruin it for white rappers everywhere. Like, period. That's my first thought. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? Gay guys and fucking Vicodins and what the fuck, man? This isn't that. I'm talking about streets and crack and guns and everything that I was currently pushing myself through at that time. And here comes Eminem talking about fucking girls talking to plants, man. And I was like, now looking back, I'm like, wow, that song was fucking epic, man. What a great song.
Right?
What a unconventional artist.
Give you mushrooms, girl. I never into my world.
Yeah. He's like, he talked about like her dad like molesting her and shit, and I'm like,
he goes into a bunch of crazy weird ass shit, and that's just how he is.
This is fucking wild. And then like he was killing his one of the illest songs he did was the song Kim. And I remember listening to that song and just thinking like, I can't picture being in the studio with this guy. Like at the end of the song, he was like screaming her fucking name and like killing her in the song. I'm like, holy fuck, man! Like this guy's intense.
Yeah,
he did the song Rock Bottom, and I finally got around after the bad taste in my mouth from the Mushroom song. I heard Rock Bottom, and then I was like, wow, this fucking kid's on something. And then went the thing with Eminem. So
fuck yeah. So yeah, I mean, you started off early. It was like fucking prior to the 2000s, and then yeah, that's a long time, bro. That's been doing this shit a long time. What's your favorite? If you could go back through all the fucking years, like, and all the different situations that you've been in as far as recording is concerned, like you recorded in Sam Smede's bedroom. I know you recorded with Matt Erickson when he had his
rock, corner in his bedroom,
and he had that place on the corner in Biddeford by where Papa John's.
Yeah, I recorded there too.
Or it's Domino's. Or is it Papa John's?
Yeah, Papa John's. Yeah. That's where we recorded the TTC compilation album.
Yeah, that was upstairs, and then he was down in the basement at his parents' house too for a little while. No recording went there, but as far as everywhere you've been, and you did Greg Powers had a fucking studio you record, so you've been around. So out of all those different situations that you had to record in, what was your favorite, and what was your like most creative, like where you were able to really get into a groove? Where did that happen, and like when about did that happen? Do you think for you?
Honestly, I think my favorite place to record of all time so far was Greg Powers. And the reason behind that was because it was actual studio. Yeah, like he had like an actual room with a soundproof booth in it, and like actual so that it's it's just all stuff. And I just got out of federal prison. Yeah, and so the creativity was that was like the peak me. Like I just got out of prison, I was lean, mean, ready to fucking roll, and I was just music to a point where I was in the federal halfway house, man, and I had a job and shit, and then Greg was like, I'll just pay you hourly to record here so you can record. Like I want you to record, I want you to do music, I want to manage you and so on and so forth. So there was like the opportunity was there, and so I went to the halfway house out of prison with the people from the Bureau of Prisons, man, and I was like, yeah, so I'm quitting my job, I'm gonna be a rapper. And they were like, you can't do that. And I was like, yeah, look, I get paychecks and shit. They were like, they couldn't say anything about it. So they were like, fuck. Like, so, and here's the ironic thing, like the owner of the house, the kind of like the warden, right, of the halfway house, came in while I was there recording and doing the studio thing. And I talked to him after out in the porch, man. He was like, said, listen, he's like, you know, most people I would say don't do this and it's a bad idea. He's like, but you seem like you really fucking fit in here. He's like, this seems like where you seem to fit here. This seems to be your environment.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, yeah. And I started doing like photo shoots and like trying to like do it real. And that's something I struggle with music forever, is just trying to put myself 100% into music. Because I don't know if it's ADHD or, you know, the substance use disorder and the drug problems that I've continuously battled throughout life, or what it is, but I can just never give myself 100% to music. I could give, you know, 80% here for a month and then fall off. I mean, Obese can attest to this. Like I'm on it, send me beats and I'm writing and I'm in the studio, and then I'm gone for like 7 months. So, so it was really difficult, but that was like the time where I was focused. Like I was on federal probation. I was in the sober house and I was focused on just creating music, and I did some good songs there.
Yeah. I remember going there. It was like 2007, was it?
Yeah. 2007 is when I got released. Yeah.
I remember going to Greg Powers right there on Route 1 in Saco and going in there with Sean and you one time, and just first time I went in there, I was like, damn, this place is legit. Like, because he did have that
studio.
Yeah, it was a real studio, and you wouldn't have expected that just walking in. I'm like, damn, I thought it was a house upstairs. You know what I'm saying? But you walk in as a studio. And but it was nice, and it was set up good, and I felt like you, you know, because I had known you at that point for like 8 fucking years or more at that point. So I felt like for you, yeah, that was exactly where at that point in time you needed to be. Unfortunately, I don't think that Greg Powers, and shout out Greg Powers, because Greg Powers is, you know, he fucking believed in you. He did. He believed in you 100%. And I just don't think Greg Powers was the one to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think Greg Powers could have had maybe some help from somebody else. If he would have reached out to somebody who knew the music business a little bit more, I think maybe that would have been, you know, the step to do. But as far as that time frame, like, you made a lot of good music too over there. So
right. Well, Greg was like, so like you were saying, man, he like really believed. I know that he brought me to like so we did all music, man, and he was doing like he was working in like Sunday River, and he was doing like the morning fucking news in Sunday River, right? So, and they were doing like this fest, Reggae Fest was coming up and shit, and so we were slated to perform at Reggae Fest. And as a precursor to that, we were going to go up to Sunday River or Sugarloaf, whatever the fuck it was, and we were going to perform a couple songs, right? So it was me, Sean, and fucking. So here it goes, right? So this is where Greg Powers runs into the streets, right? So so he's like, yeah, you know, so it's me, it's Dubs, which is what's another person that we met later on in life,
JR,
right?
Yeah.
So shout out to JR. And so we get up there, man, and like the JRs were his people, man, and they're all from California. They're from the West Coast. They've been doing this G shit for a minute. And it's Sean and me, and then so we get up there and we go on the TV show in the morning, and you know, we rap a couple songs, and then so like we're feeling like celebrities, right? Like, you know, we went out shopping, went to the mall, we got all fly, and then we're up at Sunday River, where it's really a bunch of northern Maine people that are fucking there, like skiing, man. Like they're drinking past Blue Ribbon and shit, and like they're skiing. And so I'm like, we go up there, we start performing, and like we get off the stage, man, and like one of these guys was like, yeah, you guys fucking suck. And that was it. It was all like, I don't even show who swung, but somebody hit him, and then fucking bottles were flying, and there was just this big breakout, and cops came, and we all fucking. And that after that, we never worked with Greg Powers ever again. No, so he was really upset with how things transpired, and that's just mentally where we were at. And kind of like when you're doing that hip hop, you know how gassed up you get when you're doing these fucking shows, man, and you're doing all this gangster shit, man, and all of a sudden, like
someone who just came off something, it did a performance, and they got that adrenaline running still.
Yeah, they come off stage and just like.
Got a rep to protect or whatever.
Right.
You just let someone say, you know, you fucking suck. Excuse me, motherfucker. Like,
right.
That's exactly
especially in the rap lifestyle. Like if it was like country and like somebody said you suck, it's whatever. Like I just did a song about how gangsta I am. So
yeah.
I really feel like I can't let this slide at this point.
No, that's not gonna happen.
so that's art imitating life, right? Or life imitating art. So that's how that went down. Yeah.
Word. But yeah, shout out Greg Powers for making that whole thing happen back then.
Yeah, shout out for believing. Like, listen, he believed in me hard, hard, like just as hard as anybody has ever believed in me. So shout out to him for that.
Hell yeah. So what, there's a lot of unexplained phenomenon and shit that we deal with or people have dealt with or whatever you want to call it. What out of like all the unexplained phenomena would be like your favorite? And there's like UFOs, Bigfoot, zombies. Is it ghosts? Like, yeah. What do you take? What do you like? If you could watch something on TV about, like, what would it be about?
Ancient aliens.
Ancient aliens.
I purchased every season of Ancient Aliens, and I watch it religiously, and it's almost my fucking religion at this point in life.
Is it?
I remember wholeheartedly. I mean, I feel wholeheartedly, and I agree. Like I think I was like smoking weed one night way back in my using days, man. And I was watching it, and it just hit. And they were like, could ancient aliens have come? And they just started saying all these things, and I was like, wow, that makes so much fucking sense. This actually makes sense to me.
Yeah,
it made more sense to me than the Bible and things that they were saying. And then I started to read about I started to like connect the Bible to like ancient aliens, like God, the God came and created them in our image and all this shit. Just like I was like, oh my God, like that seems so likely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and not only that, and I start to look around and I think like we don't like belong here. I feel like out of all the species on this planet, we're fucking different.
Yeah,
like nothing else is like us.
Especially white people, right?
Especially white people. Like we're just not the same. Like
no.
Like you don't see dogs with sunglasses and fucking trying to block their eyes from the sun, man. It's or you don't see animals doing that. And you don't see other animals like skinning other animals to keep warm. Like they have fur. They stay warm because they're designed genetically to do that. Like we're just not. So
yeah, it's a lot of stuff Ancient Aliens throws out there that it fits because that's exactly what the theory is. They're trying to think of alternative ways of how things could happen and fit it all into the ancient alien, agenda or whatever. But a lot of it does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff they bring up, I'm not going to say I agree with it 100%. Sometimes I've seen some episodes and I'm like, all right, this particular one might be a stretch, but for the most part, a lot of it is intriguing, to say the least.
You get 15 seasons. And at some
you gotta be onto something.
You just drag. You're onto something, right? But some of the episodes you're gonna have to drag a little bit. Like, this isn't actually like ancient alien stuff, but it could be.
Right? Yeah, this is not ancient at all. But yeah,
no. But it's good.
They got some good theories and stuff like that. Have you ever seen any UFOs or anything like that? Were you abducted at all?
Oh man, and I look for them. I've seen like shooting stars, man, but
yeah,
I look for them, and I feel like it's bullshit. Right? Like, I'm out here. I believe. I'm looking at the sky. And I'm like, just come down and hang out, man. Like I feel like I wouldn't be that thrown off by it. I've seen some wild shit in life. I feel like if an alien ship landed, I'd be like, all right, fuck, it's 2021.
All right, let me hop in.
Roll. Here we go.
Everything else is going on. This is not the most awkward thing I've seen. So, so let's see what's going on here.
Hell yeah. I mean, I like aliens as well, and I think I've seen a lot in my years. I think I may have spotted a couple things at least that threw me off. That I'm kind of like, I'm not sure about this. I know one time, and I've mentioned this before. I think on the episode with Nomar, I talked about this. Being in New Hampshire in Milton Mills. And sleeping in the tent and seeing the light over the hillside behind where we were camping at, and thinking it was a bug light in a tree. And asking who was there with us, like, do you have a bug light in the tree? And he's like, no. And we ended up looking at it, and it just was there. It wasn't moving or anything, but it wasn't. The lights weren't blinking. It was like a solid light. I was like, could be the moon was there too. You could see the moon clear as day, so it wasn't the moon, and it was too big to be a star or another planet. It was just too big. It was like half. It was like a quarter of the size, or like, I don't know, an eighth of the size of the moon, right? And it was just big enough to see. And I thought, and it was awkward. It wasn't a perfect circle. So that's why I thought, is it a bug zapper? Because it was almost kind of rectangular or like a cone. It was weird. And we stared at it for like 10 minutes. And I remember we're like, all right, let's go in and tell everybody because it's not moving. And we want to see if they see it or if they have an idea what it might be, like a weather balloon. I mean, we were just... Man, we were like 10, 11 years old, so it wasn't like we knew much about it. So we get out. We literally took our eyes off it to get out. We get out. We're like, oh, zip. We're trying to be quick. Zip the tent back up so no mosquitoes get back in. We turn. We start jogging towards the house, and we look up, and that shit is gone. So I'm like, you know, what the fuck happened? And he's like, I don't know, it's gone now though. And then we're like backtrack to the tent, you know, because I don't I'm like, maybe we can only see it from the tent. We get back to the tent, we look up, and the shit was gone. That I was like is weird, and ever since then, I was looking at the skies a lot too, but I never since then saw much. And then in 2014, I was living up in Fort Kent, and I was outside smoking a bowl on the porch, and it was a clear night. And up there in Fort Kent, it's clear as fuck. There's no light pollution or anything from anywhere. And I remember just looking up into the sky at the stars, and I did it all the time because, like I said, I always looked up. And I was smoking a bowl, and I'm looking up, and I'm looking, and I could see this one light. It was bright enough to catch my attention. You know, it looked almost like it could be like the North Star. It was just something that was brighter. And I remember just looking at it for a second, and I'm like, that's weird, because to me it was coming down. It was coming down like slow, like this, you know. Like it was falling, but very slowly. And so I found it weird enough where I went inside and I told, you know, my wife, Jessica, I said, hey, you got to come out and see this because it's fucking weird. I don't know what it is, but it's something going on. So she comes out and looks up too, and we could see it falling. And it got to a certain point where I'm like, I don't know if we're going to be able to see it anymore. And then it seriously just went right up. Like you could see it leave. Like it was falling ever so slowly, just ever so slowly. And then all of a sudden, you know, seconds after she got out there, she might have had 10 seconds on that thing before it was gone again. And it wasn't close by any means. If I had to estimate how far away, it was very far away. It could have been it was very far away, but I could see it nonetheless of where I was. And those are the only two experiences really that I've had personally where I could maybe say I saw something that was unexplained as far as like UFOs and shit like that. But I love Ancient Aliens too, man. That's one of my favorite things to watch. Anything that has to do with aliens. One of my favorite things to watch is like Bigfoot shit. There's a new show out there that's called Expedition Bigfoot, and that's been a pretty good one I've been watching. They got some really good evidence on there. Thermal imaging and some cool shit that they've done, and some really good shit. So if you're into that, check that out. I don't know what that's on. I think I got Discovery Plus. So I think it's on one of those fucking Discovery channels, but Expedition Bigfoot, it's fucking dope, and it's going on right now. If you're into Bigfoot, I know I am. But yeah, definitely we like to talk about shit like that on the show, obviously, because it sparks conversation about shit other than music, you know what I'm saying? Kind of break the monotony and shit like that. Anything else that's interests you with that stuff? You ever have any experiences like with ghosts or spirits or like anything like that? No?
I don't. As much as I believe in like physical energy, man, and I believe that like we are energy, and when we pass, we get released back into energy. I just don't believe like I think it's like it's just like the stories are so unbelievable. Like I don't think we come back as like images of ourselves, because how the fuck does our spirit know what our images even looks like? Like I think it's just, I think that once we go, we become this energy. I think everything's energy, right? And I just don't think that like you go and then you just hang around and bounce back and forth as an image of your previous self. So So I've never seen anything that I thought that was credible, right? Like, I think a lot of people want to believe that. I think that it's easier. I think mentally, and that goes into a whole different whole different conspiracy theory, and the whole dimensional thing, right? Like there's just multiple dimensions.
Is it a spirit or is it just residual energy? I mean, argument.
Right.
We need better science to figure that out. And I'm kind of on the fence about it too. I've seen a lot of shit where I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like I'm not sure about that. I have seen that, but like you said, nothing that can be for sure proven. And that's the same thing with Bigfoot. You see a lot of that same shit. And you're like, you get close to shit, and you're like, this could be.
Right. Like, that was what I was saying about Bigfoot. Like I just feel like we would have found him by now.
But also maybe not, because there's a vastness even in just this country that no one has. There's been places that they can't explore, and these motherfuckers, if they are really what they're supposed to be, they're far advanced when it comes to navigating in the woods and stuff than we are. And I mean, there are animals, so I mean, it's hard.
Where do they live?
Stomp through the fucking woods and see a fucking deer. Usually, they're going to be scared off. Usually,
But then again, right? It shows us the ancient alien theory that we're different. Like if he is here, right? Bigfoots are not trying to fucking go to Mars.
No,
They're fine here on this planet. hiding in the fucking woods, doing their thing.
Fucking Skittles and blue raspberry Jolly Ranchers. You know?
Yeah, and beef jerky,
and fucking pine needles, and whatever else you eat.
Jerky.
beef, hey, beef jerky. I saw it on. Listen, man, I saw it on TV. It's got to be real.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah, so, anyway,
They eat beef jerky, so they survive off jerky apparently.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, it's their number one source of protein, probably.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, deer jerky.
Deer jerky, yeah.
But yeah. So right now, usually we do like a top 5. So I'm gonna throw a top 5 at you. Just throw off your top 5 for me. I'm gonna say, what's your top 5 artists? Doesn't have to be hip hop. Just whatever.
Overall artists.
Yeah.
So I would say, we're talking top 5s are so fucking difficult, man, because there's so many. I feel like I always leave people out that should be there. So if I had to go off top 5 people that I fuck with, right, that are in rotation in my life that that I couldn't really see doing without. Top 5, I think of like if every other artist died, would I be okay with these 5 artists?
Right.
So yeah. So if I had to go top 5, I would go. Joe Budden's one of my favorites of all time. It's for his propensity to connect to addiction and mental health issues and do that lyrically. So I got Joe Budden, Tupac, Big Pun. Big Pun was a trendsetter, man. So I feel like Big Pun was just different, right? I think a lot of artists you can put in top 5 and they're similar. Joyner Lucas. Joyner's one of my favorites too. I don't know if I put him top 5 though. So I would go with just hip hop, man. I do Joe Budden. I do Big Pun. I do Tupac. I would also do. I wouldn't do Biggie as top 5.
Not enough material for me.
Not enough material. Jay-Z and Eminem.
Yeah.
As far as like material, as far as skill, man, like as far as skill, I think Eminem has it mastered, and I don't think that there's a better lyricist out there. As far as like longevity and being able to produce classic fucking hits, we're talking Jay-Z all day. He's still here.
In a good picture. He can put you in the moment too.
Right. And Tupac for reasons of his ability to not only create great music that's heartfelt, but social awareness and social activism and reform through his music. Joe Budden, like I said, for his ability to connect to mental health issues and substance use disorder, and Pun because he was just so far off the spectrum with his ability and so different. Like nobody was doing it like Pun when he came out. It was different. Jordan's one of my favorites right now, though. Period.
Yeah, right now, Joyner is pretty dope, and I will.
And he's from New England. Word up, Joyner Lucas. Word up, New England. Throw it up.
Them out. And then, so we got your top 5 artists. Now, what about your top 5 like albums? Top 5 albums you were most influenced by.
Most influenced albums. So, Me Against the World was huge for me. Tupac, Me Against the World was a classic and huge for me.
I think you mentioned earlier the Chronic.
The Chronic, I wouldn't say it was so influential though. Doggy Style was huge because it was so different at the time.
Yeah.
It was all East Coast rap, and so the Chronic was like okay, but Doggy Style was like just a whole different mood, right? It was a whole different vibe. Yeah. It really had that West Coast flavor to it, and so I would say Doggy Style, Me Against the World, all '90s album. All Eyes on Me was great. It was a double CD. I could listen to literally every single one of the songs.
Yeah.
Eminem had what the fuck was the album with the Eminem Show, I think was probably my favorite Eminem album.
Third one? Was it the third one?
Yeah, the Eminem Show. So maybe not. I think Recovery actually. I'd go with Recovery. I think Recovery was again before its ability to fucking connect. I mean, Eminem was just super. I could just relate to everything Em was spitting on that. Wu-Tang, Enter the 36.
Yeah.
it just completely fucking blew out everything that was going on in hip hop at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just so like the beats were original, like they just didn't follow any trend. So that was inspirational for me. Like you can do something completely off the wall and do your own thing, and it if you're true to yourself, right? We were just talking about this earlier. If you do you and you're true to who you are, people will recognize and follow behind that, man. Because and so that's 4, and then my 5th album that was most influential to me was the Tri-City album, the TTC compilation album. It was the first album that I was really on, and that really kind of solidified that I was a rapper. Right before that, I just did a couple songs here and there, and I freestyled a little bit. But Ja Rule, my daughter loves Ja Rule. I was a huge Ja Rule fan.
Ja Rule was dope. We listened to him too, up
super,
until 50 murdered him, and then we were like,
till 50 murdered him, and then it went downhill.
Whatever. Cool.
But look, everything Ja touched back then was gold, man.
Yeah, and he still made decent music. It's just we weren't listening to him. Yeah. Fucking. I don't know. For me, my top 5 changes. You know what I'm saying? Some it depends on my mood. Like some days I'll be thinking I've been listening to like sometimes a lot of shit gets left out, and I feel like every time you say a top 5, it could be different, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Like right now, I mean, if I had to say definitely I couldn't probably list a top 5 because I have too many whole albums I'm listening to right now. But one that sticks out for me is listening to The Score by the Fugees.
Yeah,
definitely. If you haven't heard that,
another one.
That's just such a dope album, and they didn't give. That's another one of those the rap groups that didn't, as a group, give us like I think enough. Like I feel like they should have done more with that. It's like another Biggie situation where Biggie just put his album out. Yeah, we got Life After Death afterwards, but we never really got to see the whole body of work and where it was going to go. And I feel
right.
Where that fucking album was so dope, you could listen to it now, pull it up now, and listen to it, and it still
bangs. Still
bangs. Everything they're still saying is relevant. Still, they're talking about oppression. They're talking about killing in the hoods and drug dealing, and they're still talking about taking to the streets and being mistreated by their country. It's just like a lot of shit that's relevant. So for me, it's like top 5 can change, bro. Like seriously, how you feeling that day, what you listened to that past month or whatever can make your top 5 change. But definitely for sure, listing off what you did is all of those would probably be in mine too. My top 5 would be like a top 500. So
I know, right? Even when you just said that, it was like crazy, like the Fugees. And then as soon as you said that, my mind went straight to The Firm. Remember the Firm album?
Yeah, it's another great one that we only had like one.
Super slept on, like most slept on album ever.
Yeah,
like you got
and then
Nature, Nas, AZ, Foxy.
It Was Written was a great album.
It Was Written, AZ. AZ Do or Die album, like there's just so many albums that when they pop up, I'm like, oh my god, that fucking album was so good.
A ton of albums, especially all those people you're mentioning from Queens, like from AZ to Omega and Nas, and all those people, like they all put out great albums. At least every one of those guys has at least one classic album that they put out.
Right. And, 90s, baby. The 90s was the fucking shit.
Yeah, it was definitely big record labels, lots of money being put behind artists. It was a different era, dude, than what we got right now. But yeah, so what are some of like your favorite non-musical hobbies, stuff that you do if you're not thinking or writing or performing or rapping? Like, do you like video games? I know you like to do a little bit of shopping. I know we like.
I do like to shop. Yeah,
we've been shopping more than a few times.
I like to shop. Yo, remember that time? Remember that time we took off, went shopping? I met you down the mall, and I had to change my clothes out in the parking lot.
Yeah,
I forget exactly what we were doing. We were going to your house, like record it. We were going to Peaks Island or something. We were doing something, man. And like, I literally had to change my clothes in the parking lot.
I think we were going to record that day, and we were picking up mad people, and you just didn't want to be in the clothes you were in anymore. Let's go to the mall. Like, all right, where he's like, I'll buy you a shirt or some shit. I'm like, all right,
yeah, let's go. So favorite hobbies, man. So those have changed, man, over time, and obviously when I was active, like my hobbies were doing drugs. That was like my life hobby.
Right.
And since then, I found a real passion in advocacy work and connecting to people that are sick like I am, man, and that's like my major hobby now is trying to be there for others and trying to connect to the recovery community and advocate for policy change and restructuring sentencing guidelines and laws, and just being a part of, man. I spent a lot of time bitching about how this fucking system runs, man, and then I realized like I can probably do something about it. I just have to do something, and so advocacy has been huge for me. I love spending time with my kids. I love going out to eat. That's my thing. I like to eat. I love food.
Same.
I like I like to I did like get into video games on occasion, but like I got this addictive personality, man, where I can't get into one and just stop it.
Yeah.
So I try to stay away from them. Like I get really into like the Assassin's Creed things, and that goes with the whole conspiracy theories and the fucking Illuminati, and I like get sucked into the playing like my conspiracy. Like this is all conspiracy, and I'm in the middle of it right now. So yeah, so I would say advocacy work, recovery work, spending time with family, man. Really just trying to make the best out of every day in life.
Yeah.
And growth, man. I think growth is such a hobby of mine now, and I think it's been I think it's a hobby that everybody should try to get invested in, man. Is in personal growth in any way, shape, or form. How that looks for you, man. Just constantly growing, man. I think that once we stop growing, we start going backwards, and that's been true to my story in life, man. If I'm not doing something to move forward or help others around me and generate love and compassion and shit, then I'm getting trapped off in hate and fear, and that's a dangerous place.
Yeah,
for sure.
Hell yeah. So yeah, I mean that's good though that you're stepping up with this advocacy stuff, because it keeps you relevant in the situation, but in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, instead of being the addict version of yourself, where you're like, on the opposite side of it, now you're the sober version of yourself, able to take what you've learned and what you've gone through, and then reach out to other people and hopefully help drag them up where they need to be, or at least say what you can to them, and it's always up to them to make the
well, it's leading by example, right, man? And and I think it's important to note, right, that what you just said is so true, right? It's the version of me. What's important to note is that they're all still me, right? Like I am the addict version of myself, and I am the recovered version of myself, and that's something that was hard to really digest early on in this recovery journey that I'm on, right? So it's hard to digest that I can be both, right? And accept the part of me that is that way, because ultimately a lot of what addiction looks like, man, and is trauma based, man, and it becomes a way to cope and deal with things that you just never faced before or had any tools to deal with. And and I think that what ends up happening for people that are out there, that are sick, that are active, and are trying to find a way out, is that they identify as only the sick version of themselves. It's hard to see a light beyond that. It's hard to, when you do nothing but shitty shit all the time, and you're surrounded by people that also do shitty shit all the time, then you feel like a piece of shitty shit. That's just how it transpires, man. And another thing that happens, man, is that some people will grow into the recovery and then look back at people that are struggling or haven't been able to live an abstinence-based life, man, and they will judge that and like they're not the same person. Like I fall victim to that. I fell victim to that, which is why I believe I went back. Like I got out of prison and I was doing fairly well, right? Like I started doing music. I had a son and I was doing well. I got custody of my oldest daughter. Her mother had gone to prison, and so I had gotten custody of her with me, and then I just slipped backward, man. And a lot of that was because I had looked at her mother, who was struggling with substance use disorder, and judged her, right? And said, I fucking got sober, so if you're still doing it, it's because there's something wrong with you. Not equating the fact that I'm still the same person, and I struggled with that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finally came to a point where like even now, like I'm in recovery almost 18 months now. So what in recovery to me means is that for 18 months, I haven't had to put a substance in my system to feel like I can cope with my life. right? Whether that's happiness, sadness. Like I used to get high because I was having a good time. I used to get high because I was having a bad time. Like I just got high for whatever. Like I couldn't picture any part of my life without a substance in it. So for almost 18 months, I haven't felt the need to have a substance to enhance my great times or deal with my bad ones. Recovery also means that I get to be a father today to 3 children. I get to be a friend to friends. I'm not just here when I need something. I get to be a advocate in my community. I get to be a part of this thing called life, man. And that was a struggle for a long time. So shout out to everybody out there that's struggling with something, man. If you're out there struggling with something, please feel free to reach out. If not to me, there is help. Reach out to somebody.
Yeah, that's an inspiration, man. Because I mean, this past 12 months with the whole pandemic and shit going on, like,
this would have been
kudos to you for keeping this up, man, through all this shit. You know,
Thank you.
This has been incredibly difficult for everybody, but I can't imagine like some of the shit you've had to deal with. You know,
it's been rough. Thanks. It's been rough for people like first getting in. I can't imagine if I would have like made the decision to try to make better moves in my life when this started or during this time, it would have been so difficult because the things that I did, honestly, the things that I did to get here was connect with a community of people that understood me, and that connection's been taken away with COVID. So people that are like, and even now, like people will call me and they're trying to get into detoxes or sober living situations, and they're trying to figure out how to change. And it's difficult to tell them how because the ways that I did it aren't available.
right?
Detoxes are taking limited amount of people. There's not that many resources in Maine, so we're trying. You know, it's a pain, man. It's been a travesty for people that suffer with substance use disorder for sure.
And you can't do it alone.
You can't, and you're almost forced to now. Like they have like Zoom meetings, like they have like, so I do like I do 12-step meetings, and like I don't get to go to them, right? And that's a thing, because those were like what helped me to form this. Like then, like I said, if this would have happened at any other time, I wouldn't have been able to form that foundation of people in this recovery community that allowed me to grow. So it's so hard to connect, even through Zoom, man. Like you can connect and you can talk to people, but ultimately you're still by yourself, right? Like that computer screen shuts off, and you know, it's difficult, man. But yeah, so I've gotten the most, I think, out of advocacy work, and that's been my big thing, man. That's what's gotten me here.
Hell yeah.
Keep doing it, man. Keep doing it.
You had that event too yesterday. Why don't you talk about that a little bit too?
Okay. For sure. So there was a yesterday was National Overdose Awareness Day. That's a day celebrated nationwide in remembrance of people that have lost their struggle with substance use disorder due to the opioid epidemic. So yesterday was a day where we remembered those people, and also showed the strength and solidarity in the recovery community. It happened really quick. Shout out to Randy Beard. He's on Facebook, and the group Recover Together is also a Facebook page. So if you're interested in being a part of a recovery community or being an ally of the recovery community, please check that out. Recover Together. It's Recover #2 GETHER. So that's on Facebook. And so Randy really, you know, we met in a recovery coaching class, and we hit it off, and we had never met in person. And you know, he started this Facebook page, and it kind of just blew up. There's just a huge need for connection, I feel like, in the community. And you know, so it all ended up coming together within like 30 days, and we ended up getting you know, some people to speak and a bunch of balloons and a lot of donations. We raised almost $3,000 for the shirts, and that money went to Portland Recovery Community Center. Shout out to PRCC, a great organization helping a lot of people down there. And you know, they're the recovery hub for the state of Maine, so they help a lot of other recovery community centers in the state. And so yeah, so we put it together, and it ended up being a thing. And the news came out, and so there was a couple segments on the news, and there was a lot of people. We got a couple performers, myself and Young Swag. The Real Young Swag came out. Shout out to the Real Young Swag. He came out and performed a song, and showed some love, and a lot of other organizations were out there. I know Maine Association of Recovery Residences was out there. Maine Recovery Advocacy Project, which I'm an organizer with, was out there. We got a lot of people signed up, so it was great. It was a great event to get people connected. Yeah. And with Maine Recovery Advocacy Project, they were able to gather a bunch of signatures to go to change laws, right? Which is what we do. We try to unite people, and then approach as the voice of people on behalf of them to the legislators in the state, and to try to implement law changes and policy changes statewide. So shout out to all of them. Shout out to everybody out there doing that recovery work, man. We're grinding.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. Speaking of recovery, so what's your thoughts on cannabis and recovery?
So
some people are like, you can't do anything, and I understand that aspect of it, because there are people that I know that it would start with anything, but I do also know people, and since I never personally was an opiate, on opiates at all, like I have my own recovery problems, cocaine, drinking, and all that shit. For myself, it was just a 5-year period of my life where I did that. You know what I mean? So it wasn't a very long time. So for me, I'm wondering, I know for me, weed helped me, get through all of that, from quitting doing the drugs, the MDMA and the cocaine and whatever, and drinking and even smoking cigarettes, all that stuff. It helped me with that. But then I do know people who they could just smoke a little bit of weed, and next thing you know, they're in there. So what do you think about it personally? I mean, some people are, like I said, one way or the other. You kind of middle of the road. What do you think?
So I am a huge advocate of harm reduction. And what that means, right, is that we meet people where they're at. Everybody's journey is different, man. And I myself, I worked an abstinence-based program because I myself have tried every other program that's out there. Yeah. I tried Suboxone, I tried methadone, I tried just smoking crack, and being sober that way. I couldn't get I couldn't wrap my mind around any of those things. And in the beginning of this journey, right, I would have said, no fucking way. You're not sober if you do that. And that was based on my own fear of the fact that I couldn't do it. Like, I can't do it. So if I can't do it, there's no fucking way you can. And not only that, I'm jealous because I want to just be able to smoke weed and chill. And I can't because for my journey, if I smoke, it looks like to me that I'm trying to alter the way that I feel and cope with, right? If I get stressed out, I'm going to smoke a joint. Yep. So now instead of developing healthy coping mechanisms, I just revert back to substances. And ultimately, I'm an opiate person. So if I'm going back to substances, my mind is going to say, this is nice, but it's not heroin. And we really like heroin. So, yeah. But as far as like, the marijuana maintenance in recovery or people smoking, I think the recovery is a personal journey, man. And abstinence is not the only game in town anymore. And the thing is, it's got to be something, all recovery starts with honesty. You got to be honest with yourself, right? Yeah. So if I go to if I know what the fuck I'm doing. If you're out there, you know what the fuck you're doing, right? Like if you're smoking weed and you're getting fucking rocked and you can't, and all your money's going to weed and you can't afford to pay your bills and you just spent your milk money on a joint, like, odds are you probably got a habit and some kind of fucking issue going on here, right?
But that could be with anything, though.
But that could be with anything, right? So, but here's the thing: is it's a personal journey, right? Like I have people that I deal with that smoke, right, and they're sober. You know why they're sober? Because they fucking say they're sober, and that's not my judgment to make. Like I don't get to judge what you do, and I've made a lot of my life. And a lot of my poor decisions were based on those kind of things. Like I could judge you. I'm better than, or I know better. And I don't. I have no fucking idea. So if you can come to the realization that, listen, I smoke and or I do dabs or I do CBD oil, if that's what you do and that's what ultimately allows you to live the life that you want to live and you're content with that, great. If you're growing in your life and you're happy and content, fucking great, man. Do your thing. If it's somebody I'm dealing with and they start to run into struggles and they're smoking, then one of the recommendations I'll say is, well, maybe stop smoking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, let's try doing abstinence based. If
Yeah.
this isn't working, if you keep picking back up again and you're smoking, and so it's really, like I said, it's a personal journey. I don't have a belief on it. My belief is that you're in recovery when you say you are. It's none of my fucking business to tell you you're not, and you know the difference. And
Yeah.
if you're running into problems in your life and life is unmanageable still, and you're not having the quality of life that you want, and you start to look around at things that you're doing, and maybe removing marijuana is one of them. Fuck, maybe adding marijuana is one of them. I don't know. That's all. It's all a personal journey. The same thing with with any medication assisted therapy or
Yeah.
medication in general. Like there's a different pathway for everybody. What has to happen though, ultimately, right, is that people that are successful doing these things have to let go of the guilt, shame, and remorse, and express to people, right? Because the reason that abstinence-based programs are so prevalent is because there's a lot of success stories out of them. A lot of people have come out and said, hey, because of X and Y abstinence-based program, I am sober and I'm in recovery and I'm living my best life.
Yep.
We need people, if we're going to look at these things seriously and look at them as successful methods, right? We need success stories. You can't have a fucking diet story with a bunch of fat guys sitting around saying this shit works. Just isn't going to happen. That shit don't go down. Like, you got to have success stories. Somebody got to lose weight.
So yeah, I mean, for me personally, like that just helped me get through. And for me, and last August I celebrated 12 years. For me, for doing hard drugs, I call it hard drugs, right? 12 years for that. And then, this year will be like, I think 6 years since I stopped drinking, and then it's been like 8 since I had a cigarette. So like for me, all those are good victories for me. And then for me, the weed thing comes in. It's not like I don't ever really find myself saying like, I'm fucking stressed out, I need to smoke. That's not how it goes. It's like, it's more of a schedule for me, like a medication would be. You know what I'm saying? It's in the morning, it's in the afternoon, it's in the morning, noon, it's like a schedule. And it just helps me to focus, helps me to accomplish the goals that I set on a daily basis. And without it, because I have ADHD too, and rather than be on Ritalin or whatever they could prescribe to you, I'd rather just have a little bit of weed. For me, it works a lot. It worked once. It helped me get a college degree. Like, I had my med card the whole time I was in college. If I didn't have my weed, I wouldn't have been able to study and do all that shit. I could not have focused on it. You know what I'm saying? I just couldn't. I tried. And then I was like, I can't do this. I need to have weed constantly. So I had to get my med card because I had a shitty connect, like, oh, this shit sucks, blah, blah, blah. I need my med card. So I did. And it got me through. And I'm not saying like it's a crutch, but I think without it would have taken me longer. You know what I mean? To get through that because of how much it helped me focus and shit like that. But definitely to each his own. And I, like you said, that approach to where it's not like a set in stone thing. Everybody is different. Everybody's going to need different lengths of time to cope with moving on from substances and whatever else that comes up in their life, and how you transition from how you used to deal with it to how you're supposed to deal with it now, yeah, everybody's different. And I think that it can help some people, and CBD is a great option. I talked to you, Justin, about that. CBD can go a long ways in helping you achieve at least some of those effects without that psychoactive THC effect. So if people are on the fence about don't want to be whatever, CBD is a great option for people in the recovery like that, because you can take CBD and just feel it makes you feel good. I think if you take it for a while, your muscles start to feel better. Your sleep schedule, I think, gets a little bit better. At least for me, it did. When I'm on CBD, I feel like it's not as much as the weed for me, but it definitely helps. You can definitely tell it works. So that's another great option. And then we're going to use this talk to segue into the segment of the show that we call the smoke break, which is typically brought to you by Fire on 4. Of course, we want to shout Fire on 4 out. And then I think we had a question in the chat somewhere. If I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah, the recovery question.
Yeah, can you find that in the chat maybe and touch on that while I get this?
I can't scroll through your chats because you're the moderator here. So,
right,
it was Eric Skillins was the person that put that out there.
Yeah, I got it. It's the question is, how has recovery impacted your rap lifestyle? Are there certain people that you have to distance yourself from since you're in recovery? You want to touch base on that a little bit?
I sure will.
right.
So my first off, my rap lifestyle is fucking non-existent. It's COVID 2020. There's no rap lifestyles anymore. Everybody's in their houses. But as far as like my rap style, right, has changed due to recovery. So obviously, and I remember we used to talk about this, Obese, when just not too long ago during the Peak Silence shoot, right, about what images are you putting forth to people that are looking at your music. What image are you portraying, right? That was back when I smoked cigarettes. You're like, can't be fucking smoking cigarettes, man. All these kids are gonna want to smoke cigarettes. And I'm like, man, fuck off, Obese. The fuck man. But ultimately, right, we have, if we're gonna be in any kind of public forum, we do that comes with a responsibility, man. If you want to, and as much as you might not want to have that, you do. So as far as recovery has just influenced my life in every aspect. But as far as the music goes, like, first off, I don't write a lot of music anymore. But if I do write music, it's more geared, or anything that I think of musically, or the music that I'm inclined to listen to now, is more based on recovery related things, right? It's more of a social movement. I don't distance myself from people. I don't do that because back to the last conversation, man, like, I don't judge what you do. That's not my fucking business. Whatever you do, you do. Like, if you're selling like crack cocaine and carrying a gun while we're recording, then I'm probably not going to be fucking with you, because I just can't be around crack cocaine and guns. It's not a good fucking mix for me. But ultimately, like, what it does is it gives me a forum. And there's a lot of mental health issues and substance use issues in the hip hop community, right? So it gives me a forum and a platform to address those from a level of recovery. And that's pretty much that, man. Like, I don't feel any need to adjust who I'm around, or adjust anything I'm doing. If anything, it made me more conscious of what I'm doing and what I'm putting forward. And that's every day. That's an everyday life. Like, recovery has given me some kind of conscience, and ultimately, I feel like I'm ultimately responsible for my actions, and my actions influence other people's actions. And they've done that for years, right? Like we were talking about earlier, like, I started doing the rapping thing, and behind that, some people came out and decided to rap. And so I feel like I can be influencing to people, and that's all of us, right? We all influence somebody. There's somebody behind every single one of us that's influenced by our actions. Somebody is our number one fucking fan. Yeah. And that person will have a number one fan. So all your actions trickle, and they have a ripple effect. So by me doing the things that I do, the way that I do them, I just hope that transpires to the next person. So the next person that comes up behind me or looks at me and says, I like what he's doing, I kind of want to do something like that. It's not sell crack, or get high on drugs and do bad things, or monopolize women, or put all my attachments in life to money. Even though I put lots of attachments in life to money still. It made me socially conscious, and the short answer to that long-winded explanation is I'm more socially conscious because of recovery, and I hope that is portrayed through my music.
Yeah, we definitely touched base on this more than a few times over the years, because there were times where, and I mean, I'm sure you knew that I just wasn't going to be having you around because I knew that you were using. You know what I'm saying? You're exactly. Like, I want to fucking record. I want to do this. And I'm like, well, I'm not because I know what the fuck's going on. And
you can't come to my house because you're not a trustworthy person.
So, you too. And it wasn't about being trustworthy, because as far as we're concerned, you're always trustworthy. It was just me being that I'm in recovery in a way, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be around it because I didn't want you to feel like I was okay with it. And I felt by giving you the cold shoulder when you knew that I knew, because I know you knew. Right. Yeah. You know, people know you're on shit. It's easy to tell. Right. You knew that I was giving you the cold shoulder, and I'm pretty sure you knew why. Right. It was my way of saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Not that I don't trust you, because that's not the case. Just that I didn't want to be an enabler. Right.
Well, no, I don't want to be part of that lifestyle, and which is completely understandable and acceptable. That lifestyle sucks. So people, and that's what people need. Like, there's an old adage, man. If you baby the addict, you bury the addict. Mm-hmm. And as much as we need compassion and empathy, man, we also need firm fucking structure around us, and we need firm boundaries in place.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what has to happen. And I never liked to hear that when I was active, obviously. Like, I don't want to hear like the truth ever. I want you to fucking cater to me.
That's why you wouldn't come around. Another reason you don't come around. You don't want to hear someone saying, "Wow, fucking doing this."
Right. I don't want to hear that shit. So, so ultimately, I made those decisions myself. I knew, like, hey, he's got a family. He's doing, he's not out here doing these kind of things. And so I understand him not wanting those kind of things around him.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's that's the thing, man. Is accepting that the responsibility for yourself is huge, right? I know Eric just asked. I specifically meant people we know who rap that are in active addiction, or people we don't know. So as pertaining to recovery,
so like people we know who rap are in addiction, or people that we don't know. Like I'm not really fucking with anybody if they're like an addict, just plain and simple. Like if they're an addict and in active addiction and they're trying to come record at my fucking house, they're not coming. You know what I'm saying? And if they're an active addiction and they're not trying to better themselves, more than likely they're not going to get beats from me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. I don't want that. Whatever. But if you are recovering, making the steps, taking the steps to better yourself in certain ways, and along the way you're having a slip up here and there, that's not like a game changer for me. You know what I'm saying? It's the person who you can just tell they're a hot fucking mess and they're not trying and they don't care. They're just like whatever. Like I've met a few people like that, but not too many, because I try to stay away from that now that I'm not in that lifestyle. But there have been a few people where they want to work with me or whatever, and I could just tell like that's just not the style I'm going to be rolling with. So for me personally, it doesn't matter if they're in active addiction. I'm not fucking with them. If they're trying to do what's right, I'll fuck with them. You know what I mean?
That becomes that gives a paradigm there too, right? Like some people use and aren't in active addiction, like so it becomes the level of where you're at, right? Like you can tell when like I've run into people that I did music with that did coke, all right, and they drank and they smoked weed, but they weren't selling their fucking chain to get fucking weed, and they paid their bills and they took care of their business. They weren't like I was when I was in full-blown active addiction. And that's where a lot of people can get to, is where you get to a level where you're just not taking care of yourself. You're dangerous. You're reckless. And that's not, it's not a shot at people with substance use disorder. It's a shot at a lifestyle that's not safe to be around. And nobody in their right mind wants to be involved with. And so it's not like, oh, hey, well, you're an addict and you're in active addiction. You're sick. You need fucking help, man. And unless you get help, people in normal circles aren't gonna fuck with you, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. They reserve that right as well.
And you can't be given help either. Like I can't
just you have to get it
in addiction and be like, come on, bro, I'm gonna help you, because I don't know how to help you. I can direct you to people who could help you, but it's ultimately up to you to fucking to take those steps and to walk into that shit and to start. So again, like
the hardest thing to grasp.
Yeah, exactly. So that's always me. Like it's easy to say, like, with all the people that we've had throughout the years that we've known that we've had to deal with the addiction problems, it's not that we don't like you or you're not trustworthy. It's just during that active addiction, you can't do it for them. And I can't stand the fact you can say to somebody, look, it's time to get help. You can reach out and say that all you want, but I think reaching out one time and saying that you need to get help or whatever should be enough. If they choose not to, then we don't revisit that for a while. At least for me, like if I say something to you and you don't get help, it's going to be months before you probably hear from me again, because I'm willing to see, like, what do you want to do, because I can't forcefully do it. And being the type of person I am, if I'm around you constantly, that'll end up happening. That'll be what happened. I would end up wanting to force you to do it, and I know that it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I am. I want you to be well. I want you to be healthy and well, but you can't go about it that way. So I've learned to just kind of say what you have to say and back off. And it sucks because you see a lot of people that struggle and they go up and they go down, and you're like, damn, they're almost there. I feel like that could have been the time. You know what I'm saying? And then it's back down again, and it's tough because you can lose people along the way, but the process is fucking difficult, dude. So, shout out.
It's really tough, man.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, let's talk about what are some of like we already talked about your favorite projects and stuff like that, but what are some of your favorite new rappers? I know we talked about Joyner Lucas. Typically we talk a little bit about old rap versus new rap. So there's obviously new rap that's just trash, and we know that. But there's obviously some new rappers that are pretty decent. Who are some of those new rappers you're feeling right now? People that like Joyner Lucas.
So let me think. There's not a lot, man.
No.
So while I'm here, I'm gonna take this moment because my daughter has asked me to give my daughter Tiana Page a big shout out. You know, she's been instrumental in my life, man. Obviously, I've had Tiana since I was a kid, and you know, without her life force in mine, my life would be severely diminished. And so a big shout out to her and her fiance Bryce, who has been a huge supporter and really accepting of me, and all my issues, man. And so they've been terrific, man. I just want to say I love them both and give a big shout out there. So that's done. Artists that are out now, I don't think I can put 5 on my hand, man. Like I like Joyner, and that's pretty much
Mark
where
says
it ends.
Mark says J. Cole.
Yeah, so J. Cole would be like classified, I guess, kind of as a new artist.
Yeah,
he's been around for a little bit, and I really don't fuck with J. Cole either. I just haven't heard any. I think maybe I'm biased by the 90s, but I just haven't heard anything that I'm like, yeah, that's really super dope. Like,
what about Kendrick?
Even Kendrick, I don't know. I don't like him. I just don't. I've never heard. Maybe I've never dug deep enough into the catalogs to really find out. But it's because they haven't come with anything that I was like, I should look more into this. Like I heard Joe Budden, right, and then I fucking dug into his whole catalog. And I found all these songs because he said something at some point that I related to that made me want to dig into it. And that's what music is for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't dig into your catalog because you got a hot beat and a catchy hook. I got to connect to your song. And then I'll dig through your shit and see what you're really about. And there's no artists that have done that for me. Joyner. So Joyner. What's that?
Have you heard Logic?
Logic's okay, right? Like just still not Logic, somebody.
Like and you like to hear something, you heard something, and you want to dive in the whole, discography. That was like that for me for Logic. I heard a couple Logic songs. I'm like, well, let me hear a little bit more what this guy's got to offer. And once you start digging into like all the projects he's got, he's got a pretty decent catalog of shit. So I say, out of those rappers, you got Joyner, you got Logic, who I think he might have even retired at this point. But he was dope. If he's retired, he was dope when he was doing it. And I don't mind J. Cole either, and I like Kendrick. But yeah, that's pretty much I think where my list stops of new rappers. I have 4 rappers on there. But what about the comparison between cultures? You know what I'm saying? Like today's culture versus 90s culture, like how easy it is to put a song out now versus how hard it was to put a song out back then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. How easy it is to connect, right, to people nowadays. So you can just not only that, like you can buy views and shit now. So like you can like be perceived as somebody that's really successful and not be that successful. Like I can just put a song out and then buy like 40,000 views on it, which was similar to what they used to do back in the day, right? They used to sound scan. They used to send albums out and then buy them all back.
Yeah. Not only that, but in radio stations, they just would pay. It's pay to play.
Yeah, and you just pay. Like, hey, my song sucks, but if I give you like 20 grand, will you pay it?
We're gonna give you this much money. Yeah, the Teamsters.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing back then. It was run like the mob, and nowadays it's all like self-service. It's like the self-checkout at Walmart. You don't need to have a record label to do it. You go and do it yourself. You can run promo, playlist placements, you know what I'm saying, and campaigns like that on your own for fucking pennies on the dollar. And so what I think has happened is it's convoluted the market for music. So you have to fucking dig harder to find good music. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so much like filler music in there.
Mm-hmm. So it's also promoted a lot of really great artists. There's been a lot of people that have come out that would never have gotten signed or never have gotten any kind of fucking play because of how they looked or how they presented themselves. They wouldn't fit like a an image, right? But
Post
but
Malone,
they're
I
phenomenal
think,
artists. Post
fits
Malone.
that bill.
Right.
Post Malone, dude.
Yeah, like nobody would have given him a chance with all
No.
his face tattoos and looking like he does with the sound that he has, you know?
But
And
he
it's
connected, and people wouldn't have known that. And he
Right.
connected really, really largely across social media platforms. And so there's a lot of more ways to get in, but because of that, there's so much more music and content that, like you said, it's convoluted, it's diluted, it's watered down.
Yeah.
Because people are just throwing out anything, and anything makes it. So because there's no making it anymore, you don't have to get a CD or an album.
No,
you just make it.
Just hit 100,000 streams on Spotify and get a fucking
Right.
plaque.
Right.
100,000 plays. It's that
Right.
simple. And so, I mean, yeah, music culture from back then, I just feel like they would spend so much time and effort into making their projects compared to what people do now. Like even me, like I'll make a fucking song and record it one day, you know what I'm saying? Make the beat, write and record it, and then submit it to the fucking distribution, and 2 weeks later it's up online.
Right.
And that's
so easy to do so, right? It's just it's like microwave fucking hip hop.
Exactly.
You know,
it's like
this isn't that slow cooker shit anymore, man. It's that fucking microwave popcorn.
oh yeah.
And just like my microwave popcorn, bro, it's gone. It's gone just as fast as you cook it. Like it's there's nothing to savor anymore. There's just not. Like I don't hear like. When's the last time you heard somebody was releasing an album and you were fucking excited to get the album? Like you were excited for somebody's content. Like it's just not. I'm just not excited.
It's been years.
Anymore.
It's been years.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm not excited. I remember waiting at CD stores to get CDs. Like this CD's coming out.
I'm excited for my own shit and people I've worked with shit. That's it. Like I can't.
Right.
I don't even really listen to other shit. Like I said, I get into shit on off days when I'm trying to find inspiration and shit to hear what's new. But that's about it. I always fall back to the 90s shit, and I'm listening to that. Early 2000 shit too, you know. But up until about 2009, 10, it just started falling off of me. A lot of shit was just
I got a daughter, right? She's 7 years old. She just turned 8.
Yeah.
And she's super hip hop. She's like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's crazy though, because she's super hip hop on shit that I don't think is hip hop. Like she wants to be a rapper. She writes her own rap. She's starting to like freestyle. She's 8.
Yeah.
And so that's cool, right? But she like her influences are like Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion. And I'm like, what? But I try to relate, right? Because I remember being a kid and my mom, right, and other people that are older than me did not understand how I related to this fucking music, right? So it's trying to piece that out, like, and that's why I talked to her with like her teachers and her grandmother and her counselors. Like, listen, there's something in there that she latches onto that she likes so much. And then you listen to the music, and it's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of really dark emotional stuff, and she's gone through a lot, so I can see where she relates to it, and they're both dead, so you know that's that part too, right? So like she relates to him, and she'll listen, and she's like, Dad, listen to this song. This is a good song. And I remember listening to one of them, and it was like XXXTentacion, and the whole song was just like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, hey, look at me, yeah, look at me, hey, look at me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like how is that? Like, I don't understand. But then I remember back, right? My mom used to listen to me listen to Bitches Ain't Shit But Hoes and Tricks. And I thought that was the dopest song in the fucking world at the time. Right? And I'm like, yeah, they licked on the nuts. And so, you know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, like I try to like not be that person as a father, right? I want to foster an environment of growth and individuality, and just try to explain, like, listen, that there's a lot of that shit in the music that's just not okay stuff, and but you're gonna figure that shit out your own. But I don't see, like, because she doesn't listen to my music and think it's any good, right? I play Tupac for her, and she's like, Tupac sucks. I'm like, this is blasphemy, like, you know, because she wasn't raised on Tupac. My oldest daughter, Tiana, she's you know, she's a younger era, right? But she's still raised on Tupac. She still likes Tupac, like that, you know, one of her artists, you know. So it's like, you know, it's hard. It's just there's a gap, man, and it's kind of like when I first got into hip hop, right? And I would listen to things like they were older, like Sugar Hill Gang and like original 80s hip hop, like hip hop that was hip hop back when the old heads was listening to hip hop. I'm like, that shit's garbage. And then I'm you know, I looked at it now and like the old heads were like, that shit's fucking classic. That this shit isn't even hip hop, this fucking 90s music. And I look at it the same way for now. And I think that's always in every form of music. Rock and roll, country. You know, you're gonna listen to some new shit and people aren't gonna people aren't gonna relate to it because for some reason it hits a different generation differently. There's a huge drug culture now though in the new music. There's a huge embracing of substance use disorder, glorifying substance uses. Like I'm on lean, I'm on perks, I'm on Molly, and the difference between the culture now and the culture then is that the culture then was more of a drug selling culture, criminal activity culture. And if you were a junkie and a fiend, like, which is why it took me a long time to identify as those things, right? Because of the stigma that came along with them. But if you were those things, like, you weren't like, it wasn't cool to talk about it. Like, I wouldn't be in a rap song like, yeah, I've been out smoking crack for days. People were like, what? Like, that's not cool. And now it's like, I've been doing lean all day and I popped a half a Xan and I'm doing this and doing that. And people are like, yeah, that shit's so dope. I want to do fucking lean and Xanax.
Yo, so, hey, I want to shout out Dustin Duso right here.
Dustin, that's my boy.
Duso, we got your Dustin Duso has a painting I want to put up on the thing if he's watching right now. Dustin Duso did that painting up there at the top if you want to see.
It is.
Graffiti from Dustin Duso. And matter of fact, behind me on the other side is more up there. That space one too he did. I got a bunch from Dustin Duso and I love art. So I want to shout out Dustin Duso. And then his brother Mark was in here too saying that he used to be down the square selling them TTC CDs.
Listen, yo, Mark and Dustin is like day one fans, man. Like they would take every CD they could get and travel across and just be like, I got those CDs. And that was fucking huge, man. It's a blessing, man. Dustin, shout out to you, man. You and Mark, like you guys are true blessings in my life, man. Like it's just it's phenomenal the feeling that you get from somebody like looking up to what you're doing, right? Like they look at what you're doing and they, I don't want to say idolize, that's like the wrong word, but they're influenced, right? They're influenced by what you're doing, and that's huge. It makes such a mark in life.
They were like a street team. They were like TTC brand ambassadors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Anybody rap that shit to this day.
Music on, yeah, and they still do. And people would come over and random people. You want to hear some new shit? And boom, throw that shit on. And so yeah, we got to shout them out for real because they've been around forever. And anytime I ever had any new music, Dustin always got some of it. Or
like the first people I go to. Whenever I made new music, that was the first spot. And I know it would go from there. Like they'll put it out everywhere else after that. They'll run around and tell everybody they got it. So shout out to both of them.
Shout out to both of them for real.
Both of them.
Both of them. So right now, let's have a little bit of random discussion. So usually we just pick a topic and roll with it. But I wanted to ask, are there any like legendary stories besides that fight one that we heard earlier that you through your career of doing shows and doing open mics and whatever your whole career through music has been, has there been any like really wild and crazy stories besides that one? Shit that you can put out there.
Without incriminating myself.
Yeah.
I really can't think of a whole lot of stories that wouldn't like make it seem like I was glorifying a lifestyle that I don't glorify anymore.
Nana hit you with a car. That's a story.
that has nothing to do with music whatsoever.
No, but still funny. Let's hear about it.
So I have a whole bunch of stories that are non-music related, but life related. So jumping off the roof, yeah. So I did a lot of stupid shit, obviously, as a kid. So I did so the story Tiana's talking about is when I was a kid, Tiana's mother and me obviously got together, and So I was dating Tiana's mom, and Tiana's mom comes from quite of a crazy little family, and so I was dating her mom, and she was a virgin, and I had slept with her, and as soon as her mom found out that I had slept with her, she had gone through the roof, man. She drove down. I was in front of my house on Fall Street, man, and I was outside, and she drove down, and she got out of the car, and she was like, she just started screaming like, "Oh, now you think you're the man? You slept with my daughter. You run around telling everybody you slept with my daughter. You think you're such a player?" And I was like, and at that time, I had a really bad mentality, man. And I was like, F you, F this, F that. So I started like walking away, man. And she like got in this little green station wagon, man. And she drove up to me and like hit me in the back of the legs. Right. Like, so, and then she proceeded to drive off. But, I dealt with a lot of issues with Tiana's family situations like that. Her mother also hit me with a car, or tried to hit me with a car. She tried running me over. So there was a lot of crazy times, man, and a lot of that was related to substance use and a really hectic lifestyle. I did a lot of crazy things, man, and so there's a comment that says without incriminating myself, and with a question mark, and yes, without incriminating. So without not so much incriminating myself, because I don't really do anything to incriminate. Really, what I meant by that was without glorifying a lifestyle that I used to live. That if I say stories like that would maybe have somebody that's viewing this now or later on think that, this is something he did, and this is where he's at, and maybe that'd be fun for me to do. So a lot of those stories I just leave for my past where they belong.
Oh yeah. Word. So let's talk about what your plans are moving forward. Like what releases are you planning on dropping here? You got some new stuff that has recently come out. There was the song "Feel It" that we recently released.
Yep.
Maybe touch on that, and then what's going to happen moving forward from that. Do you have plans, for new stuff? What's up?
Okay, so the most recent song that I have done is the Feel It project, and that is a pretty much a public service announcement for substance use disorder, man, and my relation to how the opioid epidemic has gone. So that's one of my favorite tracks at this point that I've done. I think it's the most socially relevant track that I've done, and the one that really is that means something to me. I think that's something we talked about, that it just being a really important track to do. It's one of those tracks that I felt was important to do. So moving forward, I'm waiting for a beat from an unknown producer to do another song, and that I hope to be out in around August. So that's in the works. And then really I'm looking at going through a lot of the older. I haven't written anything new, and I plan to do that, but I have this block in the way, man. And I feel like I have this cachet of old music that I think is still relevant, that I never really got to release on any platform. Like I made some CDs and they went around town, and now with those songs, I feel that are still socially relevant and that I want to share with the world. I think that I really want to get focused on reproducing all these songs. Yeah. And once I get that hurdle out of my way, I feel like I can sit down and start writing. I feel like I have this weight behind me. Like I want to write something new, but I'm like, well, I still have 20 something songs that I really haven't shared with the world. Like there's, so some of them are on, I have a SoundCloud that I have no idea how to function. I'm not even sure how those music got on SoundCloud. It's amazing that I like hear music that comes from people. I know that Dustin Dussault sent me a video the other day of like a song that I made like 10 years ago that I don't even know existed. Yeah. I'm like, oh my, so I have all this music that I remember that really meant something to me as an artist and as a person in my life that I want to release. And once I do that, then then I'll start working on new music and
refocus on all that stuff you already did and make it better how it's really supposed to be, and
Right.
kind of put it together, and then put that out, and then move on from there.
Right, to do that professionally, like everything, like we've done a lot of stuff together, Obese, and I've done a lot of stuff with other people, and all, and it's everywhere, right? I did work with MJ. He had like Woodhood Productions at some point. I did, 20 songs with him, and there's a couple of those I really like that I really want to put out. So I'd like to put together one really solid album of my lifetime of work up to this point, right? And because I've already done that work, right? I've already built those houses. I want somebody to live in them. So.
And for people that are looking for your music, you're on all streaming platforms. You do have that song "Feel It" is out on Spotify.
I do have "Feel It" on all streaming platforms right now. Yes.
If you go over to my YouTube, youtube.com/Obese The Prophet, the music video is up there too. And matter of fact, speaking of the music video, before we're done here tonight, we're going to play that music video for everybody to check out too. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, that sounds great. Now, obviously, I kind of knew about this already, but we're just kind of like telling everybody about it. But yeah, we're working towards that goal of getting that stuff redone. Trying to see what happens with COVID, so we can get your recording situation set up. Because obviously, I'm gonna have to make a trip to see you there. You get set up, and at least just all you need to know how to do is arm the track and press record, and then you need to know how to export it down so that you can email it to me. That's it. So we can figure that out. You'll be good. And
I'm still trying to figure out Bluetooth in my radio. So, I mean, I feel like we have a long ways to go.
It's fine. We'll get there. But yeah, no, obviously the creation process, working with songs that you're familiar with, you would think once that process starts rolling, it should come along real smoothly and quickly. So I'm looking forward to that being done, because like you said, a lot of stuff spread out over a lot of different places over a lot of years that I feel like there's like a good 8 to 10 songs in there that you could definitely put together something solid, and it would tell a story. And being that it's all from sort of different time periods too, they'll get a lot of different aspects of different points of your life in the one project, which I think would be really cool. And then I think that for you, being that we've known each other for so long, I feel like once you get this project out of the way, I feel like this is a thing for you. You know what I mean? Like, you have this idea, right? You have this idea, to happen, and you need this to be complete before your mind will allow you to move on and to start thinking of new material to create, which I totally fucking understand. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just really excited to get that done, so that we can see what the new material will bring, because now you're on this other side of your journey, and I feel like being on the advocacy side of things, you'll have a lot more to say. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And it'll be really relevant to you, so it should come really naturally and easy. So I'm really looking forward to like hearing what comes of that. So, and I know I'll be involved with it, I'm sure. So, I'm sure I'll hear it along the way. But yeah, really, there isn't too much more we could touch on here. I mean, unless you got some final shout outs that you want to give before I play this music video for everybody. If we want to take one final look at the chat, if anybody's still in here and you got anything else that you want, is Feel It on Apple Music? Yes, it is. Just search Riz Feel It, and it is on there. It's on all streaming platforms you use: Tidal, Spotify, YouTube Music, even. The music video is up on my YouTube channel, but then the distribution company put the song Feel It up with the artwork, the album artwork on it as well. It can be listened to separately also on YouTube. So it's everywhere, and you can find it there. And obviously, anything else that comes out will also be released to those same places. So, but yeah, anything else you want to drop any knowledge on them?
Yeah, I just want to, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for having me on, man. I appreciate it. It's nothing but love here. I want to give a shout out to the recovery community, to all the people out there doing the work that are trying to make a different world for people coming up behind us. And I look forward to growing with everybody, man. So I hope you guys like the project.
Hell yeah. Word. All right. Well, we're gonna play the Feel It music video for you guys. It was shot by a longtime friend of mine I went to high school with named Tyson Bennett on his Canon.
Tyson Bennett.
Yeah, shout out to Tyson Bennett. It was shot on his Canon. I think it's an 80D camera. I always get them confused. There's so many fucking cameras, but I think it's an 80D. So it was shot nice and crispy. Then the footage was given to me, and I edited it together and just did this video for some of the people. Obviously, we couldn't mention everybody, but we did mention some people, and obviously it goes out to everybody. But it's a project that I, hold pretty close to my heart, and I know you do too, and it means a lot to both of us. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, man.
Without further ado, let me cue up this video.
So today we're gonna be shooting downtown Biddeford. That's where I'm from. It's hometown. We're gonna be shooting for the Feel It project. It's a public service announcement of sorts for the
All right, hold on. So I'm hearing there's no audio. So let me try to fix that real quick, so we can actually hear it. So I think this problem with my volume mixer. Yeah. So let me see here. This happens sometimes with this Restream program that we use. This is all done on the browser, so sometimes it's hit or miss with these settings. So. Okay. It says it should be good. Let me see here. All right, let me see if this works. Thumbs up.
Can you feel it? I do, it's coming. There's a chill in the air out here at this moment. They're sick and addicted is opiates that they sniff cause morality shift. Northeast is under siege. Heroin's.
Aw.
My hands are not clean, I'm here helping tribute. I pump death daily like the Tribune. In my defense, I was high off the crystal. My rob blind on the wrong side of a pistol. From party and bullshit, Bacardi and pool sticks. Beaches and blunts once in a while, a ooh rip. Small cities and towns are being run by the brown. They're holding up, bound to overdoses. Wow, I saw it coming years ago when I was 18 years old. Old timers told me that fucking monkey will steal your soul.
I can hear it in your voice. I can see it, yeah. I can hear it in your voice. I can see it.
If only I knew then what I know now, I'd have slowed down. Addiction's a prison, locked up my whole town. Rest in peace, Tara G, Sam, Tito, Charlie. Anyone who lost someone they loved did this, I'm sorry. I watched the tide change, used to hustle, buy things. Now it's a hustle just to get something to drive me. I love my people, the sick and the shunned. Fuck what they say, but addiction is done to us as a people and as a community. I pray for unity in this battle on you and me. Truth be told, everyone has a vice, choose wisely. This moment will take your fucking life. I like to high, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I too sacrificed my life just to get it. I overdosed and died 2 times, I don't get it. It's a cold, lonely road for the addicted.
I can hear it in your voice. I can see it, yeah. I can hear it in your voice. I can feel it in the air. I can hear it in your voice. I can see it. I can feel it in the air. I can hear it in your voice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some powerful shit.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's a great song, man. It's a great message, and it was honestly, man, it's a fucking privilege to be alive to do that song.
Yeah.
You know, it's too real of a fact that my name could be on that list and should be on that list. So you know, that's the driving force behind everything I do now, man, is that I've lost a lot of people, and we have all lost a lot of people to this epidemic, man, and the ones that have survived, you know, it falls on us as a responsibility to show others there's a way to survive it as well. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that.
Hell yeah. And yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And I do this every week, every Sunday at 8:00. I have a new musical guest every single week. You'll see some TTC guys coming up and some other local guys as well, people from Massachusetts and all over Maine. So if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you check in next Sunday at 8:00, live streaming on all these things, except for Riz's music page. But I mean, you go to Obese The Prophet, Prophecy Podcast. I'm on YouTube. We're on Bars Over Bars Media as well. And yeah, obviously check us out. And we got a lot more content over at Bars Over Bars Media as well. We do live beat making sessions every Saturday. There's one on Monday. There's shows all the time, so check us out. And obviously shout out all the sponsors, MPC Stuff, Fire on 4, and I Regret Nothing. We love you guys. And thanks for tuning in. And yeah, thanks, Riz, for joining us, man. We had a great time.
Thanks, Riz.
All right, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate it.
It's all love. Take care,
man.
guys.
We'll catch you next time.
All right, then. One.
Peace.